Every year, the global financial system spends $274 billion fighting financial crime, yet we intercept less than 1% of illicit funds. The system fails because it is built on a flawed premise. We deploy complex algorithms to try and divine the hidden criminal intent of bad actors. At a global scale, reading minds is mathematically impossible. The solution isn't to build a better psychic. If a transaction lacks verified evidence of its legitimacy, the system must simply refuse to move the money. We treat anti-money laundering as a behavioral detective game. When we finally replace that detective work with strict architectural constraints, illicit wealth will stop flowing freely. Today, transaction monitoring systems analyze data and assign probabilistic risk scores. An alert might pop up saying there is a 73% chance a transfer is illicit. This diagram illustrates the structural trap those systems face. Despite that nuanced AI scoring, the actual software executing the transfer only possesses two options: allow or deny. Global finance prioritizes speed above all else. Because a binary system cannot compute maybe, any transaction that isn't definitively proven to be a crime is forced into the allow state to maintain market velocity. Looking at this timeline, you see what happens next. If a bank gets nervous, they file a suspicious activity report. But by the time that paperwork is filed weeks later, the funds have crossed 6 borders and 3 currency conversions. The report is a receipt for a transaction that never should have cleared. The highest risk does not live in the pile of denied transactions. It hides entirely within the gray area transfers that our rigid systems are forced to wave through. Fixing this vulnerability requires a new operating language for financial movements called Ternary Logic. This diagram introduces the core innovation. Between standard proceed and refuse states sits a mandatory third option, 0, the Epistemic Hold. Looking at the trigger conditions, missing documents or an unidentified owner immediately halts the system. It is a mathematically enforced demand for clarity. This chart shows how hesitation dismantles the launderer's main weapon, velocity. In the top chain, illicit money races through in hours. Below, ternary logic interrupts every single laundering layer. Each hold creates an operational roadblock, ensuring illicit funds can no longer outrun oversight before vanishing. But banking systems are run by people. What stops a pressured executive from simply pressing an override button to keep a lucrative client happy? Ternary logic employs a no log equals no action architecture. The network physically blocks funds until a cryptographic decision log is generated. Overriding a hold triggers the hybrid shield, forcing the user to immutably record their exact identity and justification directly onto the public ledger. Current banking structures offer plausible deniability. Executives can blame opaque AI models or confusing compliance policies for their manual overrides, shielding themselves from liability. Ternary logic eliminates that shield. The system permanently attaches the legal consequence of an action directly to the author who authorized it. Traditional compliance asks, where did this money come from? This engine asks, has this system earned the right to move it? Compliance transitions from retroactive paperwork into a live physical barrier sitting exactly at the threshold of execution. This reverses the legal burden of proof for regulators. They no longer have to spend years proving an institution acted with willful blindness. The simple absence of a cryptographically sealed decision log serves as objective proof of gross negligence. A financial institution's strength will no longer be measured by how fast it moves capital, but by its structural unwillingness to move illegitimate capital invisibly. This entire architecture is anchored by a foundational ethical code known as the Goukassian vow. Pause when truth is uncertain. Refuse when harm is clear. Proceed where truth is. Achieving systemic safety does not require flawless predictive AI predicting every criminal maneuver. It only requires the structural courage to hesitate when unsure. Money laundering is an attempt to separate a consequence from its author. Ternary logic ensures that in the future of global finance, those two things can never be pulled apart again.